They were counted out, forgotten, left for dead. But then Jimmy Butler walked into Chase Center like he owned the place. And suddenly, the Warriors got their bite back. This isn't a comeback story. It's a revenge tour. And with Steph still being Steph, and Jimmy turning into the Bay Area's new enforcer, Golden State's not just back in the mix. They're the team no one wants to see. I'll be honest with you. There's a feeling around this Warriors team right now, not the storybook ending kind, but the we're tired of being counted out kind. The gritty, battle-tested, let's make some noise kind of energy. Because when Jimmy Butler landed in the Bay, something shifted. Suddenly, Golden State didn't just have talent, they had teeth. The Butler edge kicked in, and for a while, they looked scary. Like, remember who we are, scary? But then the season started fraying at the edges. A couple of gut-punch losses, momentum slipping through their fingers. And next thing you know, they're not fighting for seeding. They're fighting just to stay alive. Hello, play-in tournament. Not exactly where you'd expect a championship pedigree squad to land. But still, after they took care of Memphis, it felt different. Like the fog had lifted. Like they remembered their DNA. Focused, fiery, dangerous. The kind of team that doesn't just make the playoffs. They ruin someone else's plans once they're in. And now, with a juicy first-round showdown against the fearless Houston Rockets, they've got a real shot to flip the script. That Memphis win? That was the jolt, the wake-up call. And Jimmy Butler, he was the one leaning on the buzzer. 3 takeaways stood out from that game. First, and let's not overthink it, playoff Jimmy is officially in the building. Western Conference, New Jersey, same menace. Since joining the Warriors, Butler has kept it chill, less alpha, more glue, playing hard-nosed defense, making the right reads, letting Steph and Draymond do their thing. Shades of Andre Iguodala, honestly. But here's where Jimmy's different. He still has a turbo mode. He can get buckets when the moment calls for it. And now, the moment is screaming his name. He torched the Clippers with 30 points, 9 assists, and a couple of steals. On 60% shooting, no less. And just when you thought that was the peak, he turned around and cooked the Grizzlies with 38 points, 7 boards, 6 assists, and 3 steals. All while playing through a quad injury that would have had most guys sitting in warm-ups. Forget fitting in, Jimmy's taking over. And sure, the Luka for ad blockbuster might have been the splashiest movie of the year, but Butler turning the Warriors into postseason troublemakers again? That might end up being the one that actually matters. This isn't a Cinderella story. It's not a fairy tale. It's a warning shot. You could argue that the Jimmy Butler trade has been the most transformative move of the season. Before Jimmy landed in the Bay, the Warriors had some obvious issues. Their defense was like a light switch, on one night, off the next. They lacked that gritty, switchable toughness they once prided themselves on. Butler brought that edge back, and then some. He's been a two-way wrecking ball, but also a stabilizer, a secondary scorer who creates his own shot, takes the heat off Steph, and makes opposing defenses hesitate before going all in on Curry. Offensively, he's not forcing things. He's flowing, making the right pass, protecting the rock, fitting into the system like a puzzle piece that always belonged. But here's the sneaky value add. Free throws. Yep, free throws. Before the trade, Golden State was 23rd in free throw attempts, basically allergic to drawing contact. Since Jimmy arrived, they've leapt to 3rd. They're not just stat padding. For an older roster, extra trips to the line are like built-in pit stops. The game slows down, bodies catch their breath, the momentum shifts. Against Memphis, Jimmy shot 18 free throws. He earned them too, through craft unpredictability and a rhythm that makes defenders feel like they're trying to guard Jazz. He's become a foul-drawing savant. Not easy to teach, even harder to defend. If Golden State wants to keep this train rolling, they'll need Jimmy to keep hunting for buckets, not just playing connector, but punisher. And lately, he's been doing exactly that. Now he just needs to keep his foot on the gas. Then there's Steph. Because while Jimmy may have led the scoring in that game, just barely, it was Steph who reminded the world, I'm still him. 37 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, all while dealing with Memphis's physical, grabby defense. Exactly the kind that's tripped him up before, but Steph just kept moving, kept probing, kept being, well, Steph. And when it mattered most, bang! 2 clutch threes in crunch time that put the game to bed. This is what championship DNA looks like in real time. Steph's still got that MVP gear, and with Jimmy riding shotgun, the Warriors aren't just dangerous, they're scary. Oh, and the final swing stat? Golden State, 34 free throws, Memphis, 23. In the playoffs, where every bucket feels like gold, that's a canyon-sized gap, and Butler's fingerprints were all over it. When Steph and Jimmy have shared the floor, the Warriors have been getting to the line at an absurd rate, posting a free throw rate of 26.6 per 100 possessions. Good enough for the 99th percentile in the league. That's not a fluke. That's control. That's craft. That's 2 veterans bending the game to their rhythm whenever they want. But then we get to the third thing that stood out against Memphis, and it's the most frustrating of all. It really feels like this could be the end of the line for Jonathan Kuminga in a Warriors jersey. Over the last 2 games, arguably the most important stretch of the season, JK didn't log a single minute. Not one. He wasn't injured. He was suited up and ready. But Steve Kerr just didn't play him. And it wasn't like he was edged out by playoff-proven vets either. Quentin Post, Buddy Hield, and Guy Santos all got time. Kuminga glued to the bench. With Kuminga's contract situation looming this summer, it's fair to ask, has he already played his last meaningful minutes for the Warriors? That's a tough pill to swallow for Warriors fans. This is one of the most electric, explosive, athletic young players in the league right now. And it's not like Golden State couldn't use exactly that energy moving forward. But clearly, Kerr doesn't see a place for him in the system. From a fan's perspective, that feels borderline crazy. We've all seen the flashes, his power, his burst, that defensive upside. But it's not a new thing with Kerr. Maybe he has a blind spot when it comes to wing players who need the ball, play a bit loose, and haven't quite mastered the off-ball nuance. Whatever the case is, it feels like the Warriors are about to lose one of the most thrilling young players in the league. And honestly, if I were Kuminga, I'd be packing my bags and looking for a place where I can actually get some real playing time. Now the focus shifts to the first-round matchup against the Houston Rockets. And honestly, this one's going to be fascinating. Believe it or not, if you check your favorite sports betting app, the Warriors are actually listed as the favorites in this series. That's wild, considering a 7 seed versus a 2 seed. But it still shows how much respect Golden State, and probably more importantly, Steph Curry, still commands around the league. However, don't let the odds fool you. This is going to be brutal, hard-fought series, and one that presents some real problems for the Warriors, especially Steph. In their most recent meeting, the Warriors were absolutely locked down. Curry finished just 1 of 10 from the field, recording only 3 points and 4 turnovers, as Golden State suffered a loss on their home floor. And this wasn't just an off night. It was the result of Houston's defensive scheme working to perfection. Their defense is practically tailor-made to slow Steph down, with guys like Dylan Brooks, Amen Thompson, and Terry Eason, Long, physical, switchable wings who love to get all up in your space. They've got exactly the kind of personnel you'd want to throw at Steph to wear him out. Rockets coach Ime Udoka has preached a bruising physical style all year, and against Golden State, he's made that crystal clear. Force them to play a style they're uncomfortable with. But here's a key point many forget about the game: Jimmy Butler's passive play. He took just 7 shots. 7! That simply won't cut it in a series like this. Butler has been brilliant lately, and if Golden State hopes to win, they need to be aggressive from the get-go. What we've seen from him in the last couple of games shows he's ready for that. Jimmy has been more urgent, hunting his shots, and if he's cooking, it's going to force Houston into tough decisions early on. If Butler gets going, the Rockets won't be able to sell out on Steph the way they did in the past. That little bit of extra space might be enough to get Curry into rhythm. Thompson and Eason are the dynamic duo everyone's talking about, built specifically to guard multiple positions. Their chemistry on the court is undeniable. Houston has been plus 9.9 in net rating when those two play together, putting them in the 91st percentile across the league. They're holding opponents to just 110.6 points per 100 possessions, which puts them in the 84th percentile, while also putting up 120.5 points on the other end, showcasing their two-way dominance. And the Rockets' scariest lineup might just be their big man pairing of Alperen Şengün and Steven Adams. Since the All-Star break, that combination has been a force to be reckoned with a staggering plus 30 net rating and over 300 possessions, putting them in the 100th percentile. Officially, they've been racking up 125.7 points per 100 possessions, ranking them in the 98th percentile. Defensively, they're even more impressive, allowing just 95.7 points per 100 possessions. This dynamic duo is a major threat, and Golden State, with its smaller lineup, will struggle to counter if they don't find a way to speed up the game and attack the paint. The rebounding battle could be the game changer here. The Rockets' ability to crash the offensive glass at a 50% rate puts them in the 100th percentile, giving them extra opportunities even when their initial offense falters. Against a smaller Warriors team, that number could go up even more. On the flip side, the Rockets are excellent at limiting offensive rebounds from opponents, allowing just 17%, making sure they secure possession every time. The one weakness for Houston is their turnover rate. They turn the ball over about 16.5% of the time, which is something they'll need to clean up, especially with the lack of one ball handler in their lineup. But outside of that, they've been a well-oiled machine. When you're dominating almost every aspect of the game, it's hard to let a weakness like turnovers hold you back. That's where Houston's dominance shines through. And if Golden State wants to have a shot, they'll need to find a way to crack that double big lineup. If they don't, it could be the single biggest factor in deciding the series. This is where Jonathan Kuminga could be key. The big question heading into this matchup is what happens with him. After being benched for 2 straight high-stakes games, it's tough to believe Kerr will suddenly call on him. But if there was ever a time to do so, it's now. Kuminga brings the strength and athleticism that Golden State desperately needs to match Houston's physicality. He can drive, finish through contact, and provide the vertical spacing no one on the roster can. Early in the season, he even dropped 33 points against the Rockets, showing he's capable of stepping up. Also, Houston is still relatively young and untested. If Golden State can land a punch early, stealing 1 or 2 games on the road, it could shift the pressure onto Houston, cracking their confidence and flipping the series. But if the Warriors fall into an 0-2 hole, even if they fight back, the physical toll on their bodies could prove too much. So yes, Steph has to keep being Steph. Jimmy Butler needs to stay aggressive. And the rest of the roster, Draymond, Kuminga, if he plays, or even Moses Moody, needs to step up. The margin for error is razor thin. But if everything clicks, I truly believe this team has enough to make another run.